Good morning, everybody. Here is your lesson screencast for today, October 13th. It's a Tuesday. And I was just looking through this morning to see how many people in first period had done their work, and it was very discouraging. I don't really know what else to say about that. Some of you are not doing your work, a lot of you have. Um, we did have a meeting yesterday, and we're starting tutorial classes during homeroom. So many of you will be assigned to my homeroom, which means that you will be doing your English work during your English class and during homeroom, and this is not optional. So it will be an extra class for those of you who are not doing my work, and I can see that I'm going to have to add some more people to that group. So anyway, if you need extra tutorials, that's fine, or extra time. But if you don't, then I suggest that you get your work done. So yesterday's work was not that much to do, and still some of you did not get it done. Um, you just had to read the information in the Get Ready section. Remember, this is what you need to review for the test. Your test will be, well, you'll have until Thursday to get everything finished. I'll go ahead and put the test in tomorrow, but I'll be grading everything on Thursday. So your work for this week needs to be finished by Thursday at 11 o'clock. I'm leaving here at noon or 12:30, whatever our half day is. And so I need to be able to grade that before I leave. So make sure that you have the test done and all of the activities leading up to it. So you just had to read the information on the Get Ready. And then on this, all you had to read was the artist's statement at the beginning talking about why he did that. And you had one question to answer on this one. And then you can open this in a new tab so that you can see it better. You'll need that for the Analyze the Text questions today. So all you had to do is view this infographic. And then you should have done the 3 multiple choice check your understanding questions and checked them. And then you needed to read the Get Ready. You definitely need to know what idioms are. That will be on your test. And parallelism in a poem. That will be on your test. And also how poems can shift in tone or in the way that they're structured. That's also going to be on your test. So I encourage you to reread this page. And then you read the poem. It was very short. I believe you had 4 questions to answer over that. Make sure that you answer in complete sentences and that you're using correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation, and so on. Just like always, to get full credit. And then you had the 3 multiple choice, check your understanding. Today, you're going to do the top part of the Analyze the Text page. So these 5 questions, which are not anything very difficult. We'll go over those just a little bit in a minute. And then you're going to do the Compare and Collaborate page. So again, your lessons for today: respond, analyze the text, the top part of the page, and then collaborate and compare the whole page on that. I have lots of time to grade, so I will be grading every assignment that you did this week. Okay? Maybe not as a separate assignment, each one separately, but I will be grading them all. All right, so let's look at the Analyze the Text questions. Draw conclusions. How does the use of an infographic help you better understand the data presented in the world as 100 people? Remember, that's the circular infographic. So how does just having an infographic like that help you better understand the data? Why do you think the creator of the infographic, The World is 100 People, placed the data about continent, gender, and age at the top of the graphic? There's really no right or wrong to this, but I just want to see what you think. Why do you think he put those 3 things at the very top of the infographic? Notice it doesn't ask for text evidence, but I still want 2 or 3 good sentences with you explaining to me why you think that. Based on the numbers, now we're switching over to the poem. Based on the numbers used in the poem, what is the poet's opinion of humanity? You do need to use text evidence in your answer. So I would go back to the poem to some of the, I would use probably, this would be a good thing to use. for your text evidence. Cruel, as in how many people out of 100 are cruel when forced by circumstances. Better not to know, even ballpark figures on that. She says you don't even want to know. So I think that would be a good place to start on that question. That kind of gives you an idea of what she thinks about humanity, which is people in general, our society. And that was number 3. Number 4, how effective do you find the predictable parallel structure of this poem in communicating a message about human nature? Support your response with examples from the poem. Again, the parallelism in the poem is the fact that each stanza and each little 2-line bit here counts as a stanza, and this first line by itself counts as a stanza. So this is the first 3 stanzas. And every stanza she uses the same structure. That's why it's parallel. Okay, that's parallelism. She gives you the characteristic of the person, and then she tells you how many are like that. So glad to lend a hand as long as it doesn't take too long, gives you the number. Always good because they can't be otherwise, gives you a number. Able to admire without envy, gives you a number. Notice there's not a space between this one. Suffering illusions induced by fleeting youth gives you the number. Not to be taken lightly gives you a number. So that is the parallelism, the way she structures each stanza to give you the characteristic of that type of person, and then how many out of 100 would fit that. Okay? So the question again is, how effective do you find the predictable parallel structure? Did it help you understand what she was trying to communicate, the message about human nature? And support with examples. And number 5, how does the poet's use of specific numbers relate to the title and ultimate message of the poem? So it's interesting that even though she's not using scientific data here, I mean, how could she be? When she says, how many people are glad to lend a hand if it doesn't take too long, as high as 49. Do you think she did some kind of scientific survey to get that number 49? So I will go ahead and say these are not quantifiable statistics here. There's really no way that you could measure how many people out of 100 are not to be taken lightly. I mean, how could you measure that? So this is not scientific data. She's using these numbers, specific numbers, on purpose to get her point across. So that's what your question is about, okay? What is the effect of that? How does she use specific numbers, and how does that relate to the title and the ultimate message of the poem, and use text evidence? All right, if you need to video chat with me about that, I've been video chatting with at least 1 or 2 people every day. So if you want a video chat about any particular question, I mean, it's just really simple. If it's easier to listen to it being explained than to just email me. Of course, you can email me too about any question. All right, the collaborate and compare. The infographic and the poem are based on the same idea, but emphasize different details. They're both based on the idea of out of 100 people, this is how many are, and whatever the characteristic is. In a small group, complete the chart. Well, you're not going to be able to do it in a small group, so you're going to be doing this on your own. Turn my light back on. So you're going to have to actually interpret and read the infographic for this. So the world as 100 people. So from the literacy part of that, we can see that almost a fifth of people cannot read or write. So this is going into your social studies skills, reading graphs, maps, graphs, and charts, and so forth. So this is just asking you to read that data and interpret it. So what can you say about housing from the infographic? What can you tell me about internet access around the world? And what can you tell me about poverty? So you're just drawing one conclusion by looking at the data, okay? And then from the poem, you're going to do the same thing basically. So here's the example. How many people are able to admire without envy? Only 18 out of 100. What's the lesson she's trying to get across, or the message? That most people feel envy, or most people are envious of what others have. So, not to be taken lightly. 40 and 4, which means 44. So, what is she trying to say there? Capable of happiness, 20 something tops. What is she saying there? Worthy of compassion, 99. This message kind of doesn't really contradict, but it's like a shift in the messaging. Okay. A lot of the messaging is kind of negative in a way, a negative tone. And then when we get here, the tone shifts. Okay. Now I want you to answer these questions. What are the similarities between the infographic and the poem? Don't overthink that. It's pretty self-explanatory. What are the differences between the two? That one's pretty obvious too, in the format, in the way that they look, in the way that they're structured. How are the purposes of the text similar and different? And what have you learned about the world's population from these two texts? Okay, you do not have to do this part at the bottom. I think I'd said the whole page earlier, but what you do have to do on this page is this chart, and these 4 questions. All right, so just to recap, you need to get your work done. I will be grading everything on Thursday. This is the last thing that you have to do before you do your test and your response log on this. So I'm going to go ahead and put the test in there tomorrow, which is Wednesday. You can take the test either Wednesday or Thursday morning, but if you know you're not going to get up early Thursday morning, then you need to do it tomorrow sometime. So I will be grading all of these activities for these 2 paired passages on Thursday morning before I leave here at 12:30. After that, anything will be considered late. So you need to make sure that you get everything done. I have some people ask me questions about which assignments are due today. Guys, the Google Classroom assignment tells you, and the video tells you. Okay? If you're not watching this video, then you're not going to get that message. But I can tell that a lot of people are not watching the videos by how many questions I get about, well, what are we supposed to do today? The video every day tells you exactly what you're supposed to do. All right, that's all for today. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you later.